friend of mine recently reached out and asked me how to get this Bohemian brown kind of look, and I didn't know the answer, to be honest, but you know me, I don't like to use presets and use somebody else's work. I want to learn how to do this for myself, so I thought what a great exercise to walk through how I experiment with a photo of my own to try and get this look and try and break down what's happening in an example. Here we have an example of a Bohemian brown type image, and if we start to look at it, we can see there's no blue in the sky. So the saturation has been ripped out and it's been desaturated. Same with the grass. This should be green here. So it looks like that's been desaturated. All the green has just become yellow. Her skirt, it's unlikely that this is brown. It was probably red and desaturated as well. And then overall, all the highlights are yellow, but not a saturated yellow. It's more of a muted brownish yellow. Even the whites here of her sock have like just a slight tinge to them. And then we also could look at the shadows and see that they're just not that deep. They've really been opened up. Down here again we have the sky, there's no blue. We have the grass and the plants, and there's no green. So let's see if we can achieve this look on our own by playing around with some colors. So here's a very bright image. Let's take a look and see what we can do. My first instinct is to go right to the hue, saturation, luminance sliders. So we saw that in the greens, they were very desaturated. So let's pull those back. I'm going to go to saturation and green, and we're going to pull those down. Same with aqua, same with blues. We know that yellows is there, but they're not that strong. And same with reds. The image is still looking kind of green, so let's start to change the shift in the hue of the colors that are there. So we want to go from green more to yellows. We want to shift everything that we can over to the yellow. So reds want to become more yellows, more brownish, everything into the browns. So we're starting to get a hint of that Bohemian look, but it's still too bright and it's still too green. Let's try and bring the brightness down and darken some of these areas up. So anywhere there's yellows and greens, we want to bring that luminance down so it's darker. Same with the blues. Okay, we're getting more of a muted kind of look. We know that the shadows were quite open, so I'm going to boost those up so it's nice and open. And we know the highlights were all filled and they were very yellowy, so we want to make sure those aren't pure white. Next, let's play with the temperature slider because we're still not hitting that brownish look. Things are still in the greens. So I'm going to drag this around and boom, we've kind of hit this brownish look. Wow, look at that. The grass went brown, the leaves went brown, the chair went kind of orange. The shirt is still kind of green. We can try and fix that. And the skin went kind of yellow. So let's stop that there and see what we can do. We'll bring the vibrance down so things aren't so crazy. Now our skin's under control. Saturation, looks like we do like the browns, so I'll bring that up a little bit. And let's try and get the tint more in the brown too. So those it kind of brings those highlights into check. So it looks like we're getting there. We're getting pretty close. From here, jump back to the color sliders and see if we can bring these yellows down a bit. So we've adjusted those yellows so they look a little more brownish orange, but I don't want that much color. I want them kind of darker. The greens are still really vibrant, and I'm wondering how we can shift that. Let's try to go maybe to the midtones and shift things over to the brown. Look at that. Cool. But it's more in the shadows, I think. We're getting much closer. Let's jump back up here and some of the normal techniques people would do and try and just improve the image in general and see how things go. Open up the shadows, clean up some more highlights. Give it a little bit of a contrast curve. We're getting pretty close. Let's take a look now and compare our two photos and see how close we've gotten. So let's see. My highlights are a little bit too bright. It needs to be more dull and muted and yellow in the whites. You can see the chain link fence. It's a little too white. That should almost be yellow. I think I kind of nailed the skin tone and the leaves. It seems like it's just the highlights now that we've got to worry about. So let's go back to our color grading into our highlights and shift it more into the yellows. Keeping a bit of brown there. There we go. Now my chain link fence is more yellow. When you're trying to change a major color in your photo, I find the most powerful tool is always the temperature. It always swings the mood of the photo dramatically. Let's just kick it all the way to as brown as we can go. Just adjusting the mood of the image now, the exposure and the contrast to kind of match that washed out look that we saw. While keeping this brown feeling. So none of this is affecting the color, it's just the overall look. So most of our work was done in the temperature, in the vibrance and saturation, the color sliders, and the color grading. Those all made the biggest impact. So let's take a look at how far we came from the start. Wow, my eyes actually hurt at the kind of jump that we just saw to that. Let's take one last look in comparison. Man, I think we're pretty damn close. And I like the overall look and feeling. Let's try it on another image and see how it applies. And we're going to jump over to this image where there's some sky and some blue jeans, and we're going to apply our preset. We'll make some adjustments based on this one. And you can see that presets are not designed to work on any photo except the one they're designed for. This is why I'm always saying do not spend your money on presets. You will be extremely disappointed. Well, that looks nothing like the photo we just made, which we saw did match the Bohemian look that we're going for. So I hope you learned a little bit about how to diagnose a photo's properties to achieve a certain result that you see, so that you don't have to go out and spend copious amounts of money on presets. Some of these preset packages are $1,000, and I just spent maybe 10-15 minutes here creating the same look. It's not that hard, and you'll actually learn more by doing it yourself. And as I proved here, presets are not designed to work on anything but the photos in the same set that they were designed for. If you go out of scope, the preset will be irrelevant and unapplicable. If you enjoyed this and learned something, please hit like and subscribe. Visit demaninphotography.com or my Instagram for even more info. Bye for now.